is, of course, the words white nationalism and white supremacy. For it is clear that the FBI makes a direct point between dehumanizing and derogatory comments which come from white nationalists and white supremacists to the idea that it generates, as you have heard here on the floor of the House, it generates the death of Dr. Martin Luther King. It generates Charlottesville. It generates Charleston, South Carolina. It generates hateful acts that result in death. This is the kind of intolerance or the tolerating this that we cannot suffer, and the intolerance that we cannot suffer. Because the idea of white nationalism as superior to others and white supremacy indicates that somebody else might die. This resolution is an important resolution to affirm this Congress and this nation that we believe that we all are created equal, and as Dr. King said, that we shall overcome. And someday we shall overcome.
Oh man! So if you guys haven't heard, that was Shayla. Sheila, however you pronounce her name, Sheila Jackson Lee. Obviously she's a Democrat, which I'm sure you guys could probably figure out. Okay, but you know, she proposed a bill. I think it's called HR 61. That would basically, and it's kind of vague, which I think is intentional, and I'll get to that in just a second. But she proposed a bill that would, in short, criminalize, at least from what I read, it would criminalize white people having anything negative or critical to say about people of color. Yeah. White people could not criticize a black person under that new bill. It would be against the law. Crazy, wild. And if you read through it, it's not very specific. It's pretty vague. And I think that is intentional. And I think it's intentional because it's left up to interpretation. So if they were to get this passed and through, which it wouldn't, it's going to fail. It's unconstitutional. But if they were to possibly get it through the, you know, with the slim, very, 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 very slim chance that they do have, they could effectively silence anybody and everybody because it's so vague. It's not very specific. And like I said, I definitely feel like that is intentional for that purpose. But let's continue on with Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens talking about this very topic and how wild and crazy it truly is.
Candace Owens is saying a lot about it, has for a long time. She's host of Candace, and we're always happy to have her on the show tonight. Candace, thanks so much for coming on. So at the same time that they're, you know, addressing these big theoretical macro issues and changing the American Criminal Justice Code to be race specific, something it's never been, they're ignoring the collapse of daily life for their constituents. You see this everywhere. What is it?
We don't know what it is. It does seem to be a very strange collision, and seeing her put this forth is just actually, I'm incredulous. And selfishly, I'd like to see it go into place for maybe just one day, because it would be brilliant for black conservatives, because every single Democrat would fall by their sword. Of course, they reserve their most hatred and the most vitriol for black conservatives, people like myself, Larry Elder, Clarence Thomas. They'd all be locked up federally. Trust you, if this actually gotten put into place.
That is definitely true. And I've stated this. The most hate that I have gotten throughout this journey hasn't come from white people. Hasn't come from Mexicans. Hasn't come from Asians. Hasn't come from Indians, Native American. Nope. It comes from the very people that say that they love all black people. Democratic black folks. Those have been the ones who've had the most hateful stuff to say. Really the only stuff to say. Black Democrats. Ironic how that works, huh? The same people that say, oh, we love black people, man. We love black people. We love black people. We love Democrats, man. We got to vote Democratic. Yeah. are the first ones to say the most nastiest things to another black person? Can I hear hypocrisy for 500, please? You know, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. Absolute hypocrites. And that's why I can't buy into anything that they say. They're hypocrites. And there's one shred of proof, because there's a lot more right there. Anyway, let's continue on.
I think it also yields more questions for me. I'm looking at this and I'm going, what are they possibly thinking? How would this work? What about black on black criticism? Would they lock me up for saying something like, Sheila Jackson is fundamentally a low IQ, hateful individual? I'm just saying that I don't want to go to prison. I'm giving you a what if scenario. If I did say that, would I go to prison? And how is this going to run parallel to their decriminalization efforts, right? They don't want any black and brown people in prison. They want them all to be on the streets. But at the same time, they're saying that they will lock us up. And by the
Here, I got you, Candace. I got you, Candace. See, this is what they'll say. It's the same thing Joe said. We ain't black, Candace. People like us, we aren't black. So we don't count. They can throw us in jail. We don't count as a black person. That's the way that they see us.
way, would this extend to an overseas policy? Would I be locked up if I said anything bad about the late Osama bin Laden? I mean, of course, this wasn't well thought through, but because it doesn't need to be. We know that their every effort is aimed at censoring speech, right? The Democrats know that in order for them to be omnipotent, they need to be able to control words, because if they can control words, they can control thoughts. And ultimately what they're after is brainwash. And by the way, they've been really good at brainwash. Speaking of what you just spoke about, you have people that are graduating. I just talked about this today. Graduating Harvard, who actually believe that men can be women and women can be men, and all we have to do is change our minds. So they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're after. And ultimately what they want is full power and control over every single person and their households.
And they'll use law enforcement to do it, and the police and the FBI and the courts. I wonder if we've laughed too much at the absurdity of all of this and not internalized how deadly serious they are about using power to crush their political opponents.
Probably.
Oh, I have been laughing, but at the same time pointing people to the very real truth and said that what they truly want is a totalitarian society. They are following the playbook, everything that they are after. They are attacking religion. They are attacking the First Amendment. They continually want to remove guns from your households. I mean, what does that spell out to you? Where have we seen this before? In every communist society that exists, that has existed and does exist today, because that is what needs to happen. They need to remove individual power. And what's been very interesting is seeing how they're breaking down people's mentality, right? We are becoming a fundamentally weak country. You have people that cry at the drop of a hat because they've been misgendered. Of course, they know that these people are not going to be able to take them on in the future. You think these people are going to stand up to government when they can't even stand up to themselves and look themselves in the mirror and say, no, actually, I cannot be this person. I can't just wake up and say that I'm a man or I'm a woman. So
I actually have a perfect YouTube short that would go along with that. And I think that's crazy as well. The whole crying and having like a mental breakdown. I mean, that's just, I just find it crazy. I just find it crazy. Like as a kid, if I were to, and I don't even necessarily mean as a kid, but just as a young person, as a preteen, 12-ish, I guess 13, 14, if I would have broke down crying, right? Because somebody called me a name, my mother would have laughed at me. Like, what? Somebody called you a bad name and like you just having like a total meltdown? I have something in my eye and it's really annoying me. So excuse me if I'm like blinking heavily right now. There's something in my eye and I can't get it out. But if I would have come to her with that and, was having like a whole mental breakdown and blah, 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 she would have laughed at me. Like, what? What do you, like, if you need to go fight him, like, go fight him. But sitting here crying and doing all this, like, this does nothing. And what are you crying about anyway? Because somebody called you a name? So? And? What? Is the sky gonna fall from over your head? Like, are you about to be put in a pine box because somebody called you a name? Like, suck it up. If you need to go fight him, go fight him. If not, shut up. That's just now she wouldn't have said it that exact way, but she in short she would have said that. Now call that harsh or whatever you want. Y'all can let me know how y'all feel about that in the comment section. But looking back on it, I felt she was right. How do y'all feel though? Let me know in the comment section, please.
It's so Machiavellian, and it's so important that we keep talking about it. You can laugh to stay sane, but also recognize that something very real is happening in this country, and it's dangerous and it's sinister.
That could not have happened 5 years ago. That's exactly right. I couldn't agree more. Candace Owens.
Facts. Things have completely gotten out of hand. It's just absolutely ridiculous that the fact that a bill like that would even be introduced. Just introducing that type of stuff. It's just like, what? Huh? Criminalizing somebody for simply criticizing another person and calling it white supremacy. You guys notice how they always throw in those buzzwords. White supremacy! A threat to democracy! We want to keep you safe. It's for your safety. They always throw in these buzzwords or these buzz phrases when they make these ridiculous and over the top. Oh man, it's just. I have seen the light. Now I can't unsee the light. So every time I see the darkness, it's just like people are just walking into the darkness. Just walking into it. And I'm like, yo, here's the light. Walk to the light. Here it is. And it just, into the dark. Into the dark we go. Crap. But yeah, it's just, oh man. How do y'all feel about this? Let me know in the comment section below. If you want to look up the bill for yourself, it is HR 61, I believe the name of it is, introduced by Shayla Lee Jackson. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And we have to make sure that we make our voices heard on how absurd this stuff actually, ooh, and that rhymed. Whoa. On how crazy this stuff truly is. Because if we don't, like Tucker said, have we just been laughing too much at this stuff? Not truly realizing how serious these folks are. Now we see they're really serious. Very serious. Criminalizing somebody for criticizing somebody else? Whoa. And then she threw MLK into it. MLK was all about content of your character, not the color of your skin, but she was just basing that off of the color of people's skin. If a white person criticized a person of color, then it's bad, and it's based on simply the color of their skin and not what it is that they actually said. So how in the world are you going to throw MLK into that? That was just terrible in and of itself. And that just even occurred to me. Like, what in the world? Y'all let me know what you thought about it in the comment section below. Like, share, comment, hit that subscribe button before you go. Peace and love, family. Y'all stay safe out there. I'm out.